I would like to continue by talking about the interpolation of these masks. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this mask. And I'm going to create a new one, this time in the shape of a triangle. I'm going to go ahead and grab the pen tool and just click here, 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 and then back here to just close the mask. I would like to interpolate this triangle onto another triangle. So with the layer selected, let's go ahead and press the letter M, and that shows you, of course, the mask name and the property for the mask path. I'll go ahead and keyframe that. I'll move in time with the CTI, and I'm going to use the layer panel to create my new mask. So I'll double click the layer, and where it says target none, I'm going to click there and choose mask 1. And I'm just going to draw my other triangle by clicking here, 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 and finally closing it here. Let's go ahead and look at the interpolation. There you go. Perfect. Let's go back to the composition panel and let's take a closer look at this mask. As you can see, this vertex point and these other ones look slightly different. Let me go ahead and switch tools to the selection tool. This vertex point is a little bit larger than the other two. That is your visual indication that this is the first vertex. The first vertex will interpolate to the first vertex of the next mask. So, when you don't get the interpolation that you want, it is customary to change where the first vertex is. This is one of the things that can help you. So, for example, if I go to the first keyframe, and I'll go and use the keyframe navigator for that, I can select one of the other vertices, and I can go under Layer, Mask and Shape Path, and choose First Vertex. What this will do is that it's going to make a different vertex the first vertex, and look at the interpolation is slightly different now. Again, by default, the first vertex of one mask is going to go to the first vertex of the other mask that is interpolating to. You can change the first vertex on both masks, or if your interpolation is correct, you don't have to do it in either one. In After Effects, there is an even easier way to create the interpolation that you desire. So, let me go ahead and delete this layer altogether. And now I'm going to type a couple of letters on the screen. For that, I'm going to grab the Type tool, and I'm going to type two letters, the letter F, capital, and the letter J, capital. If you're following along and you would like to do the same thing and you don't find that you have the same font or the same size as me, all you have to do is go to the timeline panel and look at the name of your layer where you see text 1. There is a T symbol to the left of that. Go ahead and double click it. What that does is that it selects all of your text. In here I'd just like to add that a little bit later we're going to have an in-depth lesson on text and text animation. With your text selected, you can go to the character panel, which is this one right here, and go ahead and change the font to an Arial Black. If you don't have Arial Black, any bold font will do. And you can also change the font size to a larger size. I have it at 185. Once you're done, go ahead and switch tools to the selection tool. Now we need to turn these letters into masks. For that, let's go to Layer, Create Masks from Text. What that does is that it creates a new solid layer with two masks in this case. Let's go ahead and delete the original text layer. And I'm going to go ahead and select the FJ outlines and press the letter M. Remember, M for mask. I want an interpolation that will turn the letter F into the letter J. So I'm going to go ahead and keyframe the mask for the letter F. I'll move in time and click on the words Mask Path for the letter J and copy. Control or Command C. Now I'll click on the words Mask Path for the mask for the F and I'll paste. Control or Command V. Now we can go ahead and delete the mask for the letter J. Just click on it and press delete. and we're left with one mask that is interpolating from the letter F to the letter J. And the interpolation is indeed occurring, but it's not as nice as we would like it to be. So we're going to make use of a panel in After Effects called Mask Interpolation. To open this panel, all you need to do is go under Window and choose Mask Interpolation. The Mask Interpolation panel opened right here at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. I'm going to go ahead and move it to a place where we can see it a little bit better. To the left of the panel name, there are these little dots called the grip. Go ahead and click there and just drag it somewhere else. I'm going to go ahead and drag it on top of the project panel. And there you go, that's a little bit easier to see. Let's go over some of the options that exist in this Mask Interpolation panel. The first option that we see here is the keyframe rate. This just specifies the number of keyframes that the Smart Mask Interpolation will use to create the interpolation. In this case, we have a default of 29.97 frames per second, which is the frame rate of our composition. You can choose to keyframe fields. When you're working on interlaced video, each frame contains 2 fields. So, if you're working on interlaced video and you choose keyframe fields, you get twice as many keyframes. The second option is use linear vertex paths. Well, the vertices, which are the little dots, will move from one mask to the next one. This specifies if that motion is going to be a straight line or if it's going to be a curve. The next thing is bending resistance. What that means is it going to look more like it's bending or like it's stretching? A value of 0 will mean that it will bend more than it stretches, and a value of 100 will mean that it stretches more than it bends. Quality, on the other hand, specifies that a particular vertex in the first keyframe will match exactly the same number vertex on the next keyframe. Basically, all of the vertices have numbers assigned to them. You have the first one, which we already saw how we can change. You have the second one, third one, etc., etc. This just means that the first one will go to the first one, the second to the second one, etc. A value of 0 will mean that a particular vertex in the first keyframe is going to match only the same number vertex in the second keyframe. A value of 100 means that a particular vertex in the first keyframe can match any vertex in the second keyframe. So a higher value usually means that you're going to get a better interpolation, but the higher the value, the longer the processing time. Next, we have the Add Mask Path Vertices. As you can imagine, when you have only a few number of vertex points, it's very difficult to get a smooth motion. So you can start adding more vertex points, which means that more points on the mask can match more points on the second mask. This automatically is going to add 1 vertex point every 9 pixels. The higher the number, the less vertex points will be added. Finally, we have the matching method. This specifies the matching algorithm that After Effects is going to use to match these vertices. Auto applies to the matching algorithm for curves. So if either one of the 2 selected keyframes has a curved segment, it's going to apply curves. But if there are no curved segments, it's going to apply only the polylines algorithms. In other words, we're talking about curves and straight lines. Curve just means that it matches curves to curves, and polyline just means that it matches straight lines to straight lines. Use one-to-one vertex matches. What that means is that Smart Mask Interpolation creates a vertex on one mask path that matches exactly the same number of vertex on the other path. First vertices matched, in other words, is how it acts by default. The first vertex will match the first vertex of the other path. To make sure that you have optimal results, make sure that in your interpolation the first vertex point matches the second one exactly as you like it. So let's see if that's true on this one. And it's not quite, because we have a first vertex that is here at the bottom left, which is moving to a first vertex which is right here in the middle of the J. So I think I'm going to change the first vertex on both masks. I'll go to the first one. And I'm going to select this point as my first vertex, Layer, Mask and Shape Path, Set First Vertex. Now I will navigate to my second keyframe. I'll select this vertex and I'm going to make that one the first vertex. Layer, Mask and Shape Path, Set First Vertex. And let's see how that affected the interpolation. And that's a lot better. So this is how the mask interpolation works. Select both of your keyframes, so 2 or more keyframes of your mask interpolation. Change your settings here on this panel however you want, and click Apply. Let's see how much different our interpolation is now. You can see how it added a lot of vertex points. If you don't like the interpolation, all you have to do is undo. That's Control or Command Z. Change the settings here. For example, I'll change to Polyline and click Apply again and scrub it. And I like this interpolation a lot better. Let me shorten the work area. I'll position the CTI where I want it, and then I'll press the letter N, and let me do a RAM preview. Much better.